Dear students, today let us solve one more problem on the final accounts of non-trading concerns. This is video number 11. I am Dr. Panduranga Nayak, Principal, Swiss College, Bhopal. In the problem, they have given you the opening balance sheet, that is on 31st March 2016, that is as good as 1st April 2017. And receipts and payments account for the year ending 2017 March. That means 16-17, the financial year. And certain adjustments are also given along with the receipts and payments account. So with the help of this, you have to prepare income and expenditure account as well as closing balance sheet. Okay, let me explain the adjustments, and in the meantime let me touch upon the items of receipts and payments account as well as opening balance sheet. Here you need not prepare the opening balance sheet because opening balance sheet is given and capital fund balance is also known. But still there are certain items in the opening balance sheet which we have to understand. First item is subscription outstanding for 2016-17. It is 3,850. This is nothing but subscriptions outstanding for the current year 16-17. Therefore, here in the problem, see, in the previous problem subscriptions were given together, but here they have separated what is received for the previous year, current year and the next year. So 14,000 are received during the current year. To that you have to add these 3,850 rupees subscription outstanding for the current year 2016-17. Further, this will appear on the asset side of the balance sheet as outstanding subscription for 16-17. Then look at the subscriptions received for the year 2015-16. It is received during the year 16-17, but for the year 15-16. But how much was outstanding? Just look at the asset side. Outstanding subscriptions 700. 700 was outstanding and 700 you have received. Therefore, nothing is outstanding during the year 2016-17. So that should be simply ignored. Then 2017-18, 900 you have received. You have received during the year 16-17 rupees 900, but for the year 17-18, that's nothing but subscription received in advance. So that is not accrued or earned during the current year. Therefore, it is a liability. So what you have to do is, you have to show it as a liability in the closing balance sheet. You need not deduct from subscriptions because current year subscription value has been separately given. If subscriptions received is given together, then 900 you should have deducted, 700 you should have deducted. But here separately they have given, therefore no question of deducting from 14,000. 14,000 is purely for the current year. And for 17-18 separately they have given 900, and therefore you need not deduct from the subscription received for the current year. Okay, this is about subscriptions. Look at the outstanding creditors for expenses for 16-17, 2,600. Okay, look at outstanding subscription expenses or outstanding sundry expenses of 15-16. Okay, 1,200. Look at the opening balance sheet here. Subscription received, outstanding expenses 1,200. So 1,200 were outstanding as on 31st March 2016, and that is being received this year, that is 1,200. Okay, that's fine. Then current year outstanding is 2,600. So net value is 2,600 under sundry expenses or creditors for sundry expenses. Same amount has to be shown on the liabilities side of the balance sheet, closing balance sheet. This is still payable, and therefore that is appearing on the liability side of the balance sheet. Salary outstanding for 16-17, yes, for the current year 1,400. So here salary paid is there. Yes, salary is 2,900 is paid. To that you have to add in the income and expenditure account. And in the balance sheet it is shown as an item of liability. And find out whether there is an item on the, yes, you see outstanding salary is given in the opening balance sheet. Therefore, salaries paid here 2,900 includes, we have to assume like that, 800 paid for the last year's salary. That means 2,900 minus these 800, then add outstanding at the end of the year. So thereby you will get the value of salaries paid. Salaries. Next one is depreciation on sports materials, 2,000. Straight away it should be debited to profit and loss account. Sorry, income and expenditure account. And in the balance sheet, it is deducted from sports materials. See, you have to find out the opening balance of sports materials, 10,000. So during the year, there is no purchase of sports materials. So opening balance is 10,000. Additions nil, sale nil. Therefore, only depreciation amount should be deducted in the balance sheet. So 2,000 should be deducted. Outstanding interest on investment 750. Okay, you have an item here. Interest on investment 1,500 is given. In the opening balance sheet, you have to find out, yes, outstanding interest on investment 400. That means interest on investment received 1,500 includes 700 for the, yes, not 700, 400 for the last year. So 400 should be deducted from 1,500. Then still receivable 750, that should be added. Half of the entrance fee is to be capitalized. That means entrance fee value is 4,600. So 2,300 should be taken to the income and expenditure account, income side, and the remaining 2,300 should be added to capital fund on the liability side of the balance sheet. So that's about the adjustments. Now look at the receipt side. Balance brought down. This will appear in the opening balance sheet. Anyway, we need not prepare the opening balance sheet here. Therefore, it is shown there. Supposing subscription outstanding here is 1,000 and received for 15-16 is 700. That means out of 1,000, you have received only 700 rupees and still 300 rupees are payable. That will appear in the closing balance sheet. But here there is no such things. 700 was outstanding, 700 received. So there is no outstanding subscription for the previous year, and therefore you have to simply ignore that. And 16-17 already I told you, you have to take it in the income and expenditure account, and to that you have to add outstanding subscription for the current year. Then in case subscriptions are received in advance 900, it is there, that should be added to the current year subscription, because that is relating to current year, that is the income of current year, but it is received in advance last year. Therefore that should be added. So subscription received in advance last year is relating to current year, therefore it should be added to 14,000. Further outstanding subscription of the current year, that is also to be added in the income and expenditure account. And current year subscription outstanding should be shown on the asset side of the balance sheet. It's an income receivable. And subscription received in advance for the next year, though received this year, it is not relating to current year. Therefore, in the closing balance sheet, it should be shown as a liability. Contribution to special fund. If you look at the opening balance sheet, there is an item special fund. So to this, you have to add additions during the year. So there is contribution to special fund 3,000, that should be added. If any expense is there, that should be deducted. Expenses are there here, that should be deducted. And the remaining balance should be shown on the closing balance sheet, liability side. Entrance fees very clearly given. 50% should be taken as revenue and 50% should be capitalized. Revenue means it should be credited to income and expenditure account. Capitalized means it should be added to special fund. Interest on investment, already I told you, 1,500 is received, but of that 400 is related to previous year, so that should be deducted, and still receivable is given in the adjustment, that is 750, that should be added. Sale of old newspaper, it is revenue receipt. Hire of hall, that's also revenue receipt, should be credited to income and expenditure account. Look at the payment side. Sports materials, opening balance is given 10,000, further addition 3,000, depreciation 2,000. So remaining amount should be shown on the outer column of the closing balance sheet. And then outstanding sundry expenses of 15-16, so it was outstanding 1,200 and you received that this year, so nothing that you have to do. Once it is taken 1,200 minus 1,200 received, so nil balance, but current year still receivable, so it is given, that is outstanding creditors by expenses, that means outstanding expenses 2,600. So that is part of income and expenditure account, and also it should be shown on the liability side of the closing balance sheet. Salaries 2,900, of that outstanding salary at the beginning 800 should be deducted, and current year subscription outstanding, salary outstanding should be added, and this will appear on the closing balance sheet liability side. And the expenses out of special fund, I already told you. Newspapers, revenue expenditure, fixed deposit, it's an asset, will come to the asset side of the closing balance sheet. Grass seeds, revenue expenditure. Honorarium to secretary, it is recurring in nature, revenue expenditure to be debited to income and expenditure. And balance carried down, this will appear on the asset side of the closing balance sheet. So we have considered everything. So all the items, investment is there. So that will come to the asset side of the balance sheet. If there are any additions, that should be added. Clubhouse ground, there is no adjustment, that will be taken to the closing balance sheet. Furniture, 2,000 as it is. Only depreciation, if it is there, it should be deducted. Otherwise, straight away, it should be shown on the asset side. Yes. No depreciation on furniture, as it is you have to take. And then cash, okay, it's opening balance, so not to consider at all. So this item I explained. Outstanding subscription you are known. Sports materials you have understood. Investments you learned. Furniture, closing balance sheet. Clubhouse ground, closing balance sheet, asset side. Outstanding salary you have learned. Outstanding expenses you have learned. Subscription received in advance you have learned. Special fund you have understood. So income and expenditure account credit balance of last year, this should be added to 46,600, and then to current year balance of income or expenditure should be added. So this one, and current year excess of income or expenditure should be added, or else it should be deducted. And then capitalized item like entrance fees, that should be added. Yes, see the income and expenditure account. I have explained everything in detail. Only thing is just to have a glance over that. Subscriptions received 14,000. Current year subscription outstanding 3,850. Subscription received in advance last year, but that is relating to current year. That's why it is added. The income of current year though received last year. Yes. Entrance fees only 50% should be taken here. Remaining 50% is capitalized. Interest on investment 1,500 received. Of that, 400 is relating to last year. It's not the current year income, so deduct. And still outstanding interest on investment 750, so it's added. Sale of old newspapers, hire of hall, both the revenue items. Sundry expenses 1,200 paid this year, but that is relative to last year, very clearly given 1,200, so nil balance. But still you have to pay 2,600 for sundry expenses. Therefore, 2,600 is outstanding. So same value should be shown on the closing balance sheet liability side. Salaries 2,900 you have paid. Of that, 1,400 is for the last year deducted, and still payable 800. 1,400 is relating to current year outstanding, so add it. But 800 is relating to last year deducted, so 3,500. Let me make it very clear. This is outstanding for the current year, therefore it is added. Whereas this year, this is relating to last year. 2,900 includes rupees 800 paid for 2015-16, that is last year, and therefore that is not the expense of current year, that's why deducted. Newspaper, grass seeds, honorarium to secretary, the appreciation on sports materials, all these are debited to income and expenditure account, being revenue expenditure. Now if you compare the two sides, credit side, income side is more than expenditure, therefore excess of income over expenditure. We also call that surplus. If income expenditure side is more than income side, then excess of expenditure or income, we call that deficit. Okay, so there ends the preparation of income and expenditure account. Look at the balance sheet. Closing balance of cash, it is taken here. Outstanding subscription at the end of the year 3,850. Outstanding interest on investment at the end of the year 750. Investments opening balance, and there is no addition. Fixed deposit, okay, 2,000. Sports materials at the beginning 10,000. Additions during the year 3,000. Then depreciation, okay, it's given the adjustment 2,000. 11,000 is the balance figure. Furniture 2,000. Clubhouse ground 20,000. Look at the liability side. Outstanding salary for the year 2000 March 31st March 2017 1,400. Outstanding creditors for expenses 2,600. Subscription received in advance is not the income of current year, therefore liability 900. Special fund 5,000. Contribution to special fund during the current year 3,000, and paid out of special fund expenses incurred or met is 6,100, so 1,900. Here let me tell you, supposing the expenses paid are more than the total of these two, then what has to be done? Then the shortage, that should be debited to income and expenditure account. Supposing these are 10,000 and here only 8,000 are there. So you have to draw 2,000 rupees from income and expenditure account. So it should be debited. Capital fund is 46,600. This is there in the opening balance sheet. Last year surplus is also there in the opening balance sheet. You see here. This is the capital fund. This is the excess of income or expenditure of last year, that is also taken here. Yes, 3,800. Then current year surplus, which you have ascertained here, say 16,800. Then entrance fees 50%, 2,300. Totally 69,500. The total of balance sheet is 76,300. I have given some notes. I have explained these things in detail, but still let us have a quick glance over these items. Contribution to special fund and expenses of special fund are adjusted in the balance sheet to the special fund. Subscription received in advance during 15-16 are added to current year subscriptions as they are related to subscription received in advance during 15-16 are added to current year subscriptions as they are related to current year. This year's income received last year. So it is the income of current year, therefore it is added to subscriptions of current year. Subscription received in advance in 16-17. This year you have received next year's subscription. So it is shown in the receipts and payment account. Received in 16-17 for 17 are shown separately in the receipts and payment account, and therefore they are not deducted from subscriptions during the current year. See, in the receipts and payment account, separately they have given what is the amount of subscription received for previous year, that is 16-17, 15-16 and 17-18. Therefore, no question of deducting it from subscription received. However, this is shown as an item of liability in the balance sheet, closing balance sheet. Subscription outstanding for 16-17 are added to current year subscriptions in the income and expenditure account and also shown as an asset on the asset side of the balance sheet. Subscription outstanding last year are received during the current year, but as the item is shown separately in the receipts and payments account, it is not deducted from subscriptions in the current year in the income and expenditure account. If total subscriptions are given, you should have deducted, but they are given separately year-wise. Outstanding creditors for expenses for 16-17 are shown as a liability in the balance sheet. Description on sports materials is debited to income and expenditure account and deducted from sports materials on the asset side of the closing balance sheet. Interest on investment outstanding of last year is deducted from interest on investment received in the current year, because of the interest received, a part of that is relating to last year. That is not the income of current year, that's why it is deducted. Then interest on investment outstanding during the current year is added to the interest on investment in the income and expenditure account. Further, interest on investment outstanding on investment during the current year is shown as an item of asset in the closing balance sheet. So thank you.